Howdy, and welcome to Yates American B244. With the motor balanced and running so well, we can return our attention to some repair tasks. So there's a half a dozen or more of these spring caps that are buggered up in various ways, and they're broken. So I'm going to make some new ones. I've got some 4140 cold rolled steel that's just the right size. I could not find any commercially available that were the right size. They're all much larger, and they all appeared to be just cold formed tubing that had been heat treated after it was formed. So I'm going to machine these on my friend Dick Kite's lathe, and then we'll try to heat treat them to a hardness. I don't know what hardness they are. The file does skate right off of them, so they're pretty hard. For the next phase of these spring caps, I'm just going to drill out the center of the backside, and then I'll machine them to length. To machine all the spring caps to the same length, I've got a depth stop set up on the collet, so these will always go in the same depth. So I have the carriage locked, and I'll use the compound rest to adjust the depth of cut. And I'll have the cross slide on power feed. Let's pull it out and measure it. And these will be about 3/4 of an inch to 0.75 something. So I need to come down a little bit more. Well, after a couple of iterations, I've got it down to about 0.757, which is what the originals were, so I'm just going to call that good. So I have the compound rust set to 0, and so on all subsequent spring caps, I'm going to back it out to make cuts, and then on all subsequent spring caps, I want it to end up on 0, and so they should all be the same height. Well, that simple little plastic and aluminum depth stop did really good getting them all the same length. Okay, I'm going to go through a few step drills before I switch to an end mill. Here we go with a second step drill, and you can see the depth stop back in there. For boring out the remainder of the spring caps, I'm going to use this 3/8 inch carbide end mill as a boring bar. I have this positive stop set so that the depth of cut will be 5/8 of an inch. For now, I'm backing the cross slide out so that I'm getting about 30 thousandths off the diameter. So I'm looking for an inside diameter of 0.645. So we basically got 0.632 right now, so I'm needing to take another 13 thousandths off the diameter inside. See what we got. .646, so I'll call that good. So I'm going to set the dial on the cross slide at 0, that way it can go to the same spot for all the rest of the spring caps. last step is to machine a little 60-degree chamfer on the inside. And there are the nearly completed spring caps. There's actually one more step to do. There are holes that need to be drilled in. Those holes are probably used for heat treating. You probably thread them all on a wire and then dunk them in the tank. Okay, I'm preparing to harden and temper these spring caps. And I'm going to be using my friend Dick Kite's oven to do so. Right now I'm passing around 400 degrees. I'm going to take it up to 1550 and quench them in some oil and then temper them at 400. Okay, I'm going to let these soak for about 15 minutes. Here we go. So here they are as they came out of the oven and quenched. They're a little bit tarnished. I'll polish those up after I temper them. So I'm going to let the oven cool off to about 400 and then temper them for about 15 minutes. Now that I have these heat treated and tempered, I can polish them out a little bit. Well, I'm real pleased with the way these spring caps turned out. Now, I don't know what hardness they are, but I'm going to trust the numbers. So this is 4140 steel. It was quenched in oil from 1550 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it was tempered at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's supposed to result in like an upper 50s Rockwell C. The files are pretty much skipping off of everything, so I'm pretty pleased with them.